rebuilt. They will rebuild it better than ever before. There's a very good chance that in their own nuclear industry, they will learn from the lessons of all of these near meltdowns that are going on right now. There are a total of 9 reactors in the northeast of Japan that are under threat, and 3 of them, that one of them has had 2 explosions already. Well, they will learn lessons of all of this, and they will come back into the commercial market roaring, as they always do. But meantime, they've had a heavy setback, and then there are the consequences for the Middle East, which is a whole different topic. And basically, the Middle Eastern revolutions, the street revolutions, were going great guns. And Rob, there was something in those street revolutions that none of us were acknowledging. This is information you get if you talk to people in Cambodia or Thailand, who are very aware of the fact that over the last few years there had been a competition between 2 major role models in the world, 2 major ways to run a government and to run a people. One of them is the authoritarian free market model exemplified by China. The other one is the freedom of speech free market model exemplified by Europe and the United States. And it looked, because China has the fastest growth rate of any country in the history of the world. China is just coming on great guns.
Yeah, they are.
It looked like China's incredible success was making it the magnet of attraction, was making it the role model that everybody would want to follow. But when these Arab street revolutions began a month ago, we had a surprise, and it's a surprise that no one in the media that I've seen has yet acknowledged. The model that people were following in the street was not the model of China. It was not the model of authoritarian free market revolution. It was the model of free speech, democratic free market revolution. So the American model, the Western model, the European model was winning, of all things, and we didn't know it. Then Muammar Gaddafi decided that through sheer physical force, he was going to stop the street revolution in his country. He was going to assert the authoritarian model to the nth degree. And the one thing stopping him was the attention of the world. It was the attention of the world's media. Then suddenly, last Friday, because of the earthquake, because of the tsunami, the center of attention in the world's media shifted, and it shifted to Japan, and it took the attention off of Gaddafi. That makes it possible for Gaddafi to crush the revolution in his country, and the consequences of that are like a domino effect, because that is demonstrating the revolutions are not finished. The revolutions are not finished in Egypt. They are not finished. They haven't even begun in Saudi Arabia. They are not finished in Bahrain. They are not finished in Yemen. And what the other Middle Eastern rulers are seeing in Gaddafi's example is if you're brutal enough, you can stop these revolutions. When I say they're not finished, toppling Mubarak in Egypt is just the start of a revolution. It usually takes 2 years before there's a decision about who's actually going to be running a revolution and what's going to happen in the wake of a revolution. Whether there's going to be democracy or not is the big question. Well, apparently the decisions are being made against democracy, and we can see that in Saudi Arabia because the Saudi Arabians have just sent troops into Bahrain to crush the Bahraini street rebellion before it can catch on in Saudi Arabia. So unfortunately, because of the Japanese center of attention, the Japanese catastrophe shifting the center of attention, the authoritarian model, which was losing for approximately 4 weeks, is now winning again.
So it's hard to imagine that what is happening in Japan because of these 3 disasters that, God bless them, that they've been faced with over the past couple of days, that it's actually working in favor for Gaddafi in Libya.
Yeah, it's definitely working in his favor. Now, the Arab League, for reasons I haven't had time to research because I've been focused like everybody else on the Japanese situation, but the Arab League just came out in favor of the West establishing a no-fly zone over Libya. Well, it may be too late. Muammar Gaddafi is already on the offensive, and he doesn't seem to need his Air Force to accomplish what he's accomplishing. He has overwhelming training in his military. He has overwhelming organization in his military, and he has overwhelming weaponry in his military. The no-fly zone may just be an unnecessary garnish at this point. It might have helped a week or two ago, especially when it would crush the spirit of Muammar Gaddafi. But right now, Gaddafi, it's not just that Gaddafi is winning, it's that the military, remember, the military are the only ones who gained from the street revolution in Egypt. They right now are running the country. Well, that's the same military that gave us Gamal Abdel Nasser, that gave us Anwar Sadat, and that gave us Muammar Gaddafi. That gave us Mubarak.
Yeah.
In other words, the same people are running the country as were running it before. And if those people realize, thanks to the Gaddafi model, that they can crush a revolution, the democracy that we were all hoping would spring up in Egypt, would spring up in Yemen, would spring up all over the place in the Middle East, may not happen. And once again, the Middle East may be mired in one of the most repressive and one of the most backward forms of government in the world. And when I say backward, that's not a value judgment. What I mean by backward is the form of governance that's been used in the Arab world over the last 50 years has resulted in an economic stagnation that is overwhelming.
What do you think the consequences will be as far as any other revolution that people are planning? Because this is what you, like you said before, Howard, this is a massive revolution that's going on. Will what happens in Libya be looked upon by other organizations, groups who may want to start a revolution and say, whoa, we better not because they all don't win?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People don't like to participate in a losing proposition. And it looked like democratic revolutions were on a roll for approximately a month, and that may stop. Now, one force wants to stop it, and it is the model of of the new authoritarianism. The authoritarianism of the middle and late 21st century is China. And there was talk of a Jasmine revolution. People were using Facebook and Twitter, or the equivalent of Facebook and Twitter, in order to organize street demonstrations. More security forces were sent to every street corner where there was supposed to be a demonstration than demonstrators. And the result was the Jasmine Revolution never happened. And that model is the model that Gaddafi is following, but with additional brutality. And it is, unfortunately, the model is likely to establish itself very rapidly if we don't do something. And frankly, Rob, I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah. You and I have to take a commercial break, my good friend. We'll be back on the other side of the news. Howard Bloom is my special guest. And Howard, it's always a great pleasure having you on the show.
Rob, it's a pleasure being with you.
Howard's website, Exonation, is www.howardbloom.net. That's www.howardbloom.net. And Howard and I will be back on the other side of this break. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7. 365.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, My name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Up and battered around, been saying up and I've been shut down. You're the best thing that I've ever found. Handle me with care. Reputation's changeable, situation's tolerable, but baby you're adorable.
Welcome back, everyone. Howard Bloom is my special guest of this hour, and Howard is the author of The Genesis of the Beast, The Genius of the Beast. I did it again, Howard, every time. I always get
a tricky one.
No, it's not. Let's try this again. Howard Bloom is my guest, and he is the author of The Genius of the Beast, a radical revision of capitalism. And he's also the author of The Lucifer Principle, a scientific exploration into the forces of history, as well as The Global Brain, the evolution of mass mind from the Big Bang to the 21st century. www.howardbloom.net. Howard, you've been on the show before where we've talked about alternative energy, such as solar energy, space energy. Wouldn't this be the perfect time with what's happening in Japan for other countries to realize that nuclear reactors are ticking time bombs, and that the same thing could happen in the United States, Canada, or anywhere else that happened in Chernobyl? That's
well, it's not
today.
Just nuclear reactors. It's as if this has been a year of warnings, Rob, because what did we start approximately 10 months ago with? We started with a mine disaster in Chile.
That's right.
After the mine disaster in Chile, what came next? The BP oil spill. And after the BP oil spill, what do we have? A total of 9 nuclear reactors in Japan that are under threat, including 3 which are in the process of having explosions right under our nose. So if this is not a warning about 3 basic forms of energy, coal, oil, and nuclear, I don't know what is. So you know that I've been working with the 11th President of India, Dr. APJ Kalam, and with the National Space Society to get across the idea of what Dr. Kalam calls harvesting solar energy in space. And the energy up there is endless. If there's a catastrophe up there, it's not going to affect anybody on Earth, very frankly, because it would be a problem developed with hardware that's way, way, way up there in orbit, way beyond its ability to do any damage down here on Earth. And the amount of energy up there is infinite. It can be tapped by absolutely any nation. It's a way to get around energy wars. It's a way to get around resource wars. I mean, look how hard we've been fighting in the Middle East for a long time. Look at how many trillions of dollars the United States and the coalition countries, the NATO countries, have spent in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And largely we are there because of energy. We are there because of oil. There's a choke point through which 40% of the world's oil goes, and that's the Straits of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf. And with that, with control over that choke point, and a hostile nation like Iran, for example, could destroy the world's economy, could absolutely destroy the world's economy, could make all of the woes that we're seeing in Japan, which are terrible right now, but could make them look minor in the long term. And if we harvest energy, if we harvest solar energy in space, nobody can monopolize it. Nobody can start wars with it. Or let's say nobody can start wars over it, because anybody that can afford to put up the hardware can harvest the energy up there. plus the energy up there is 5 to 7 times the intensity that it is down here.